Yes. Good afternoon. The May 5th, 2025 meeting of the Faculty Senate will come to order. The first item of business, as always, is approval of the minutes of the April 7th Faculty Senate meeting, which were attached to today's agenda. Are there any corrections to the minutes? All right, seeing no corrections, the minutes are approved. Next up is my report. Based on a question from our last meeting, I reached out to Amber Brugnoli, Associate Vice President and Executive Director of Global Affairs, regarding the status of international students on our campus. Although she was unable to attend today's meeting due to a scheduling conflict, she encourages faculties with questions to please reach out to her directly via email. The DA has provided the campus some updates on recent actions that we have seen. At our last meeting of the Faculty Senate, we approved the new guidelines for annual review, promotion, and tenure. Since that meeting, the individual colleges and units have begun the process of updating their documents to be in line with the new guidelines. I encourage each and every one of you to please engage in this process in your college and/or unit. Please make sure that faculty are meaningfully involved in the process. The university document that we approved serves as the floor. The real meat of how we will experience review, promotion, and tenure will be determined in the documents that are now being updated. The Faculty Senate will continue to provide guidance and advice to the constituencies of this body as the process rolls out in the next year. Today marks my last meeting as the chairperson of the Faculty Senate, as we have canceled the June meeting. Okay, this has been a year of learning and growth for me. I wasn't sure what recovery would look like, and it has been a year of ups and downs, but I believe that we have arrived on a positive path that moves us forward. I want to thank a few people. I want to thank the Senate faculty leadership team, particularly Scott Wayne, Frankie Tack, Eloise Elliott, Leslie Cottrell, Scott Critchlow, and probably most importantly, Corey Hunt, who keeps all of this running. Yeah, thank Corey, God bless. I also want to thank the university. I also want to thank university administration and too many offices to mention, but of note in the office of the provost and of the president, for being willing participants in the process of shared governance, for always answering my email and phone calls and providing their perspective and insight. I also need to pause here. He's not here, but he might, you never know, he might watch me on YouTube, to thank my husband, Jay, who has put up with a heck of a lot, including madcap Zoom calls in the middle of drives, pulling over in rest areas so I can continue said Zoom call, and a whole bunch of other nonsense. Finally, I want to thank the faculty of this body and of the assembly as a whole. Your support this year has been phenomenal. My awe and respect of the contributions you make to this institution by faculty in our shared mission has only grown as I've had the opportunity to meet more of you and to see your efforts to help students achieve their goals and to help grow the state. I appreciate your willingness to engage when often it may have been the last thing that you wanted to do. I hope all of you have a great summer, even those of you who have a 12-month contract like me. That concludes my report. Are there any questions? Good. All right. Oh, thanks. Thank you. Now I'm going to put my glasses on so I can read. Okay. Our next item of business is the consent agenda, which is composed of all curriculum committee actions this month. The consent agenda is used for regular and non-controversial business. Any member of the Senate can ask for an item to be removed from the consent agenda and discussed in the regular agenda. Are there any requests to move items off of the consent agenda? Seeing no requests, we will move to vote to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye or raise your hands online. I have to let the people online react. Okay, please lower your hands online. All those opposed, please say nay or raise your hands online. Okay. You can lower your hands online. The consent agenda is accepted. Thank you. Now for our standing reports. First up, the Curriculum Committee report from Darko.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Diana. I'm happy to report that the Faculty Senate Curriculum Committee has completed its monumental task and responsibility this academic year once again. Since the last Faculty Senate meeting, we have gone through 2 review cycles where we have reviewed 5 programs and 71 course proposals. Out of those 71 course proposals, 40 were course changes and 31 were new course proposals. I would like to mention once again how thankful I am and grateful to, of course, Corey Hunt for all of his help, and to all the committee members for their devotion and their hard work this year. It's been a particular pleasure and privilege to get to know and work with each of them throughout this year as the chair of the committee. And that's it, Diana.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Darko? I would also like to join Darko and thank him and his committee for the phenomenal amount of work that they get done every year, but in particular this year. Thank you very much, Darko.
Thank you, Diana.
Next up is a report from Cody, chair of JEFCO. Cody?
Hi, Diana. So nothing new to report here from JEFCO this time around, but I do want to thank you for all of your support you've given us throughout this academic year.
Thank you, Cody. Any questions for Cody? And obviously, I want to thank Cody and his committee for the phenomenal work that they've done all year as well. Thank you, Cody. I appreciate it. Now, we were going to have a report from the TACO chair, Sherry Chisholm, but she's unable to be here today because she is administering a final exam. So she asked that if anyone has any specific questions regarding TACO, that they reach out to her and she will reply quickly via email. Everyone should be on the lookout for an email coming from the TACO committee regarding redaction of comments on your spot survey about timelines and forms and where to submit those requests. Next up is the Committee on Committees report from Ilkin.
Afternoon. I'd like to report that our committee is working full speed to fill the positions. There are at least 150 plus positions we have to fill out. If you receive the email, please respond as soon as possible so we can accomplish this. Unfortunately, with the timing and senator elections being late, it's going to be this month or next month to have this list finalized and probably brought to your approval in the fall semester. I stand for questions. Thank you.
Any questions for Ilkin? I just want to thank Ilkin and his committee because it's a sneaky committee that doesn't seem like it would be that busy, but they have been replacing members of committee almost every month this year and actually are now entering their true work cycle, which is trying to populate everything for next year. So thank you and good luck. And now our representative to state government, Eloise Elliott.
Thank you, Diana. And this is finally over, so we're all very happy. And not that we're that happy about some of the bills, but we're happy it's over. So I'm sure all of you know that House Bill 3279, what we call the Board of Governors bill, passed out of both chambers and was signed by the governor this past week on Wednesday. So it is effective now. And you know that it also took away the voting rights of faculty, staff, and the student member, but they will be serving in an advisory role. Other things related to that bill, WVU will now have 19 members on the Board of Governors, 15 of those appointed by the governor. And the addition of one from agriculture or forestry. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask here at the end. I do want to thank, many of you wrote letters, the Faculty Senate, we sent numerous letters from the Faculty Senate, the Executive Committee, from those that serve now on the board, past members that served on the board. There have been all kinds. We all really appreciated all of your efforts to try to help convince them that they needed to reject that bill. So thank you for that. Other bills that passed that we were keeping an eye on was the DEI bill, Senate Bill 474. It was also signed by the governor on April 30th. He must have done a lot of work on April 30th because all three bills that I'm mentioning were signed on April 30th. The other one was House Bill 3297, which is the one that has established the Washington Center for Civics and Statesmanship here at WVU. It was also signed by the governor on April 30th. So Provost Crowder or President Gee might want to speak more to that bill. And also, I don't know, President Gee, you may plan to speak more about the budget bill. I just want to say that a really big thanks goes out to Travis Mullahan and Dan Kimball, because their communication with me throughout this whole session was great. We talked at least once every week. They kept us updated on everything that was happening, and if we needed to be there, if we needed to write letters. And I want to thank Corey too, because he added the legislative update section to the Faculty Senate website, so we were able to actually try to keep you up to date with what was going on, at least what we knew was going on. So I have enjoyed this role to a certain extent. But I'm finishing up my 4 years, and I am happy to turn it over to the new representative that will be replacing me. I don't know, is Jason here? There he is. Jason Gross. Have fun with that, Jason.
Fun with that.
Also, I served represented WVU on the Advisory Council of Faculty, which Jason will be doing as well. So, thank you.
Any questions for Eloise today? Don't go far. I've been doing this a lot today. You can tell it's the final meeting. I want to take a moment and acknowledge Eloise's effort in this role as representative to state government. She's held this role for, as she said, 4 years, and has worked tirelessly to represent WVU's interests within the state educational groups, such as ASE, HEP, HEPC, statewide provost meetings, and with our state and federal legislatures. If anyone ever wants to learn how to work a room, do what I do. Just stick to Eloise's side at the beginning of the event, and it's like a master class. I highly recommend it. She's very good at it. This job has not always been glamorous, Eloise. It's been a lot of hard work, and Eloise has put herself in some unenviable situations, like testifying voluntarily during the campus carry hearings in Charleston, which, from what I understand, was not easy. She did all of this to ensure that our voice is heard in Charleston. Eloise is stepping down, and I hope you join me in acknowledging her years of service. Next up is Leslie with our BOG report.
Leslie Cottrell, School of Medicine. Don't have much to report. We have not met since our last meeting. We do have some subcommittees that will probably determine the next steps based on 3279. And then our next meeting is June 13th. Please, if you're available on June 13th, join us. Frankie and I are going to be giving the faculty presentation. Each constituency provides their presentation annually, and ours is that date. We'd love to have you in the room. These are in the Alumni Center. We can share a particular time if that's okay when we have it, but that's June 13th. We'll know more then.
Right.
That's
Anything
it.
else? Any questions for Leslie? Thank you, Leslie. The faculty has, oh, we can clap. She did a great job this year. She worked hard. I like clapping. Let's do it more often. Okay. The faculty has an additional representative on the Board of Governors, the immediate past Faculty Senate Chair, Frankie Tack. Frankie is retiring at the end of this year, and I want to thank her for her service to Faculty Senate and to the BOG. The past 2 years have been a very challenging time to be on the BOG, and Frankie has represented faculty interests and concerns consistently. In my discussion with other members of the board, they comment on her consistent preparedness for each meeting and there's up to 400 pages of documents for every meeting, I understand. So they have commented positively on her preparedness for each meeting and her excellent communication of the faculty viewpoint. In addition, Frankie has been an excellent mentor and resource to me this year. Please join me in thanking Frankie and wishing her well in retirement. Okay, next up we'll start our guest reports. I would like to welcome to the podium Vanessa Yurkovich, Director of Education Abroad, to provide us with an update on the study abroad process and cost. Vanessa? We might need technical assistance at the podium.
Hi, everyone. As she said, I'm Vanessa Yurkovich. I'm the Director of Education Abroad in the Office of Global Affairs. So I just want to thank you for inviting me to speak today. So we offer a variety of programs in study abroad, including semester and full year programs. But today I'm going to focus strictly on faculty-led programs. If anyone has any questions about our other options, feel free to reach out. And I'm happy to talk to you outside this session. So just briefly, faculty-led programs are group programs led by W faculty with W students, and it's a W course taught through travel. And so right now, this is currently our most popular option with students, and programs can be offered within any of the university breaks. So Thanksgiving break, winter break, spring break, and summer are our most popular travel times. So we have the benefit of running programs not for profit. This means that programs are priced at cost for mostly an all-inclusive itinerary, and there's no additional university or college tuition fees that are billed. So this is most advantageous to students who are traveling in the summer because they don't have additional tuition and fees on the credit hours. So we try to keep that in mind for the cost of out-of-state tuition and fees when we're planning the summer classes and developing summer programs, so students can see the value add of the travel compared to on-campus course or online summer coursework. So right now we have minimal admin fees. It's $150 per student admin fee, $3 a day for insurance, and $50 per credit hour per student. That's lumped into that price that's all published up front. And those costs have not been increased since 2015. So programs are proposed annually by faculty. We budget them out annually, and our goal is always to break even at the end of the program. The general process hasn't changed, but we are holding more strictly to processes, deadlines, and asking for more detail and comprehensive plans so we can be very transparent with students, parents upfront regarding the program expectations and what they're going to get out of the experience. And these deadlines are set to aid in the many administrative processes that are handled across our more than 40 programs we offer a year. So that includes term recruitment cycles. Students and advisors know this is when spring break is online and open. This is when they close. This is when I need to guide my students to sign up for and look at summer programming. It also helps student financial services who can advise students on what kind of aid they'll have available and distribute it in a timely fashion to cover study abroad. So I anticipate some of the concerns are about our new policy to utilize a full service program provider. So this policy helps WVU faculty deliver a consistent experience, provide students, parents, and faculty the support they need abroad, reduces liability, keeps finances more predictable, and allows us to meet state of West Virginia contract and payment requirements and processes. So a full-time service provider handles logistics. They handle hotels, transportation, typical excursions that most tourists would go on, but that leaves the faculty to handle unique experiences, such as meeting with professionals in the field that they know because of their professional network, meeting with partner institutions, those things that really make it unique to study abroad at WVU. So during travel, the program provider troubleshoots. So the faculty continues to support the students and teaches while the on-ground support team can manage unexpected cancellations, weathers, delays, sickness, injury, accommodating unexpected needs that can happen and happen every year. So we recommend that faculty who are brainstorming new programming let us know before July, just so we can vet any new providers. Or we guide faculty to existing providers that we already have vetted. So we try to make a good fit. We work with both for-profit and nonprofit companies. We work with university partners, service and development organizations, and travel agencies. We're not exclusive to any one program provider or company. So regarding study abroad costs have gone up. And in response to this, we have increased our scholarship opportunities at the global affairs level and are advising on external scholarships. So that includes Gilman at Abroad Fund and those provided by like the study abroad organizing companies themselves. I am excited to say Gilman was announced last week. We had 19 Gilman winners for the March cycle. We think it's an institutional record. Those are students going out this summer through next spring. Thanks. We worked very close with Aspire. They did a lot of work to get those essays strong. And we're excited about it. So in addition, so what's causing the increase? Everything's gone up. Demand for hotels in major cities, which is where a lot of our programs go. The demand has gone up, the price has gone up, and those lodging are requiring non-refundable deposits up to a year in advance. And so that's where working with the program provider, they can navigate all those timelines and secure hotels for us. Airfare has also increased. So I compared spring break 2020, which didn't travel, but we purchased everything. So I had all the receipts. Airfare for our Italy spring break program in 2020 was $930 a student. This spring break, it was over $1,300. And so there's just incremental increases across transportation and all of those pieces. The other thing with using the program provider, we are more accurately budgeting and covering the cost of the program. So we are seeing less programs running a deficit while things are centrally managed versus where we were building budgets and predicting based on past prices when we were doing it in-house from scratch. So with summer, there's a lot more variability. The length of program changes, whether we include airfare or the student has to purchase it. So it's not as good of a direct comparison, but we are seeing students ask for less days abroad and less ambitious itineraries. So post-COVID, there's our feedback from students is they aren't able to go as they did in the past. We're seeing more requests for taxis, transportation, and there's less interest in roughing it in hostels or camping. Adventure has even kind of adjusted their international programming with us to accommodate the student and parents' expectations with regards to their travel. And then one just positive plug, we're not thinking about costs, is we want faculty to feel welcome to come to our office and be involved in study abroad. We have an Ed Abroad chaperone training program, so if you've never led a program, been on a program, and you have interest and there's interest in your department, feel free to check out our website and sign up to be a chaperone. Your department doesn't have to fund anything, and we'd be thrilled to work with you and show you what the experience is like and the value for your students. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me, email the office. I'm happy to answer your questions, or I guess there's Mike's.
Hello, Joe Jones, College of Creative Arts and Media. Vanessa, first, thank you for your time. I appreciate your office as well. I do lead a study abroad, and you guys are always great. I do have a question. I guess in full disclosure, I noticed my trip was the most expensive list to Italy. But I guess one of my questions is, back in 2019, if we got more students, the cost was lower, no?
I've been here 13 years, and we've never run on that cost model.
Okay, because we've also been able to give out refunds in the past if we come in under budget.
We did give refunds out until I think 2015, and the ability to give these refunds back, especially because we have a lot of seniors traveling, and the refunds don't get processed until after all of the costs are reconciled and my expenses. They were graduated and gone, and so we kept getting checks bounced back to us.
Okay.
So we now use that to help fund the scholarships to increase the number of students that can participate up front.
So is there a way though, if the price is set for 10 students, we get 20 to go, is there a way to lower the price per student since we're using all the same services?
The
Like,
issue is-
I'm trying to keep the cost down for my trip, and we always get at least 10 and we can get more. And if somehow we could tell students, oh, the more who sign up, maybe like the less it'll cost everybody collectively, because we don't have to pay extra when we go on certain excursions and stuff like that. Is that a way to be built into the model?
I think there's a way of talking about the money that the university saves because we are now paying out less. I think lowering the price becomes tricky, or using that as a recruitment tool, because you have, say you get 12 students that sign up, and 6 of them were like, well, the whole class seemed interested, so I was banking on that 20 student price, but it's the 10 student, and then we start getting students dropping out of the program. It becomes very unstable. But I do think, like, we want it to be break even, and so we do filter that, like, when we know a program's getting high enrollment, like, we can work with you on, can we add really cool excursions that you left out that would add to the academics that you didn't add because it was going to be expensive, right? So we want that money to stay with the students and support students. But
Okay.
we do get into the contract of, they committed to a program, and if they drop, then we're gonna have to charge them, but they felt like it was false advertising.
Sure, no, I mean,
Yeah.
that would totally be at the end, again, that kind of refund at the end, but I get how that would take time. So I guess my last question here, is there a way that, what kind of language can I use, I guess, then to students, that if we do get more students to go than it is budgeted for, like we get the 20 instead of the 10, we're basically saying, well, that money gets fed back into a scholarship, because I know you guys are nonprofit. So like, where's that extra money go?
I would encourage students who feel they need, like, financially, the program's a stretch, have them apply for our scholarships. We are discussing currently about how to have students apply, or if we use the same app for scholarships, for financial need, for specific programs, and that program has high enrollment. But I'm very hesitant to say, like, use it as a recruitment tool.
Sure, okay,
Yeah.
all right,
But
thank
I'm
you.
happy to talk, so we
Oh,
can
yes,
like
definitely.
brainstorm this.
Great,
Okay.
thank you.
Hi, Megan Light, College of Creative Arts and Media. Thank you for coming today, Vanessa. I've fielded a lot of questions related to the need for program service providers in country, which has raised the average cost of these trips by thousands of dollars for students. So I wondered if you can talk to us a little bit about why you feel the need for them, if that went through any kind of curriculum, or what are the rationales for having those third-party, basically, service providers now?
So a big part is liability and risk and program management. We transparently know what a program's doing, where they are. We always have parents asking us, what's my kid gonna do on Thursday? Where is my student at? And we also have unexpected things that occur, and we have students and families that are banking on and have made plans on these programs. So we have had, just in the past year, faculty who they got sick abroad and needed replaced, or the program must continue. We've had faculty not be able to travel a week before the program. And so this allows us to have a lot more control and flexibility over what the student experience is, if they're getting going, like, where we replace a faculty, it's never gonna be the same experience. Absolutely, I agree. But if they turn down a summer internship because they needed a study abroad and they want to explain a study abroad when they're going for employment, we can't pull their summer plans completely out from underneath them if things change. We've had instances where there's been election and suddenly the location in the original plan we couldn't go forward with, and we had to completely shift the location, and we had an on-ground team who could do that. We've had students get injured. It means that the students who are needing more of our faculty leaders' time to navigate culture shock, the content of the experience, those things, the faculty can pay attention to the student, while closures due to weather or extreme heat or transportation issues because of political things or protests, that is all secured and taken care of by someone else while the faculty continues to teach and lecture support. That is, the student is our main reason for asking for this.
To some degree, I understand that. I think the concern has been that multiple programs didn't run this summer due to either student interest, but also cost, right? That these costs have become exorbitant. They're $8,000 before airfares. We're looking at $10,000 to go to Kenya or to, I know my friend's program to Greece didn't run. That's an extreme amount of money for a student to come up with in a rural institution. So for me, the important thing is that they go, right? There are always going to be problems that happen, but I think, are we putting up a huge barrier for even entry into kind of a global experience because we're using these service providers?
Well, I do. So I think we only had 3 or 4 programs canceled this summer, which is relatively low. Our program enrollments are much higher, and I think a part of that is because we are showing very clearly what the itineraries are, and the students and parents can see what they're paying for. I do think there's something that I want to get into is with faculty is collaboration on locations, because Greece was a location that was canceled for multiple colleges because 3 or 4 colleges all offered Greece this summer. And so they were trying to pull from the same population, and it kind of only one managed to get enough students to go. So building that cross-college, university-wide collaboration, I would like to see. And we are offering, if students have financial concerns and they're approaching their faculty, we want them to send them to us so we can help find those bridging funds to cut down the cost, because we are seeing students get 3, 4, and 5 scholarships, so they're not paying $8,500. Another thing that we've seen is our programs that are very full this summer, to Japan, to Kenya, they are close to $9,000, and they are full. One of our most expensive programs over spring break to Ireland, also, we sent 60 students to Ireland this summer, or over spring break. But we've also had students offered full scholarships, and they still turned it down because cost isn't the only factor with reaching our students and encouraging them to go on an international.
So do programs across the board have to use these program service providers?
They do have to use a service provider. They can have a service provider vetted. So a travel agent counts as a service provider. What we don't want or can't see is a faculty who is booking every individual thing, booking every taxi, getting on bookings.com and trying to secure rooms, whether it's from 10 students to 40 students. We need the scalability because we want students to feel like they have access to these programs, and that it's booked for them. So many years, and I feel like there have been very, very few programs that weren't using a provider. I think I can count about 5 of them that had reached this point that weren't using a full service provider. And those are very work intensive. We're talking 80, 100 hours of the faculty's time to navigate these contracts. And we need to be able to pay the bill. So every bill has to go through the state of West Virginia. We had several invoices that went to the Attorney General's office and questioned, so we need to be able to pay partners and providers, which has been a struggle for quite some time.
Okay. Can I read one of the okay. So my name is Michael Sherwin, and I'm a professor of art and head of photography at the School of Art and Design. I'm also the coordinator of the Global Positioning Studies, or GPS program. I'd like to express serious concern regarding the recent changes implemented by the Education Abroad Office, particularly the new requirement that faculty-led programs must partner with a third-party service provider for all logistical planning and ground transportation. These policies have had direct and detrimental impact on the affordability, flexibility, and pedagogical integrity of faculty-led courses, especially in disciplines like mine that rely on mobility, improvisation, and intimate group dynamics. In planning my photography in France course for spring 2023, I encountered several roadblocks under the new system. Most importantly, the mandatory use of hired drivers instead of allowing faculty to drive university-approved rental vehicles significantly altered the structure and intent of this course. With a small group of students, the ability to be flexible, stopping at unplanned locations, adjusting the schedule based on light and weather conditions, and traveling to rural or remote areas is essential to my course objectives. Requiring hired drivers not only made such spontaneity impossible, but also forced a complete reworking of the itinerary, undermining key learning outcomes. Moreover, working with a third-party provider added a layer of logistical and financial complexity that I had not encountered in over a decade of leading successful domestic and international programs. The provider was inflexible with scheduling, resistant to itinerary changes, and ultimately changed far more than it was necessary. These added costs also increased the overall price of the course by $2,000 per student, making it less accessible and raising concerns about equity and participation. While I understand the university's desire to mitigate liability and streamline operations, these blanket requirements fail to account for the scale and nature of different types of academic programs. I urge the Faculty Senate to re-examine these policies and advocate for a more nuanced, discipline-sensitive option that preserve faculty autonomy, reduce financial burdens on our students, and support the high-quality educational experiences we aim to provide. So I just wanted to read that. That's really what went in my mind. Because I think, Vanessa, but just to finish up, the concern is I understand both the liability component, but I'm worried that we're missing this is one example. I've had probably 8 senators. I think there are other people I've talked to. This is a big concern, and it didn't come through Senate, right? The idea to use a party. And it feels curricular in nature to a certain degree, and I want to leave it at that. But I don't know that this was approved by Faculty Senate.
If you don't mind me plugging, we have
Sure.
an International Travel Advisory Committee that meets and discusses and reviews a lot of these issues. And we do struggle to get faculty representatives on that committee. So if you would like to kind of have a voice at the table, send an email. Tara George Jones is our International Risk Manager who coordinates it. We're happy to have more voices, especially faculty, weighing in on these conversations.
Hi, Diana. Scott Wayne, Statler College of Engineering and Mineral Resources. I would like to recognize Susan Lance from the Dayton College, who has a comment.
I just wanted to clarify something. I'm the one taking the group to Kenya this summer, and the trip does not cost $8,500 plus airfare. It's not $10,000. The $8,500 does include the airfare. Also, of the traditional age students who were going on that trip, almost all of them received scholarships, some of them in excess of $6,000 or $7,000, mostly because we worked very closely with the Davis College and with Extension to get those scholarships. So there are ways to work around this. I had students who were offered full scholarships, $8,500, who turned them down because, well, they just decided they didn't want to study abroad this summer. The other thing I want to throw out there is that I have been on several study abroad trips. Every study abroad trip I've ever been on, the other faculty member got sick and landed in the hospital. And so if we had not had a provider, it would have been a very difficult thing. And also, I'd like to throw out there that this time last year, I was about to leave for Thailand with a group of students when my physician said, no, you have colon cancer and you're going to get your colon taken out. And so we had to send a substitute who would not have, neither of the people would have known how to get through Thailand had we not had a third-party provider. The trip would had to have been canceled. So I just wanted to point those things out, that these are very real circumstances that happen. Thanks.
Thank you for all the questions. Eugenia Pena Jeffrey of Davis College. So I have a one concern. I mean, I think, and this is not a question, it's just a concern, how fast this was thrown at faculty. They already were planning the trips this year. But my main question is, there are several faculty that have been study abroad over 15 years. And they know exactly the ins and outs. They are actually have family in some of these countries. Why should they go through a new service that means the time of us to meet with a provider, the time of us to organize a lot of things, and the cost of money? So what about the people that already know what they do? And they have 15 years, I'm sure they have been going through many, many things. And they know where they go. It's nothing new. So why do they need to go? I mean, we are almost talking about the same thing of when we were mandated to use a travel agency. We know the type of service. I feel that they're maintaining it also for people or faculty that do not really need it. Why do we all need to go through if we don't need it?
So I've been in the office 12 years and I work with a lot of the faculty that have been working for 12 years. And a lot of them have been through, we've gone through the different issues together. And a major one is payment. We can't wire money to the state of West Virginia without extensive paperwork, which our European colleagues don't know how to fill out because they're US state tax forms or West Virginia tax forms. So we, in the past, we've had faculty members wire money to family members to pay bills. And that's not a sustainable or acceptable like approach to business. Like, so things have changed where you could call and book. Now there are requirements of deposits. Overseas, things don't remain constant, just like they don't remain constant here. And the students and the parents have also changed in that time frame, what they expect regarding upfront planning and itineraries. So there have been times where we've tried to book the same thing that we've booked and suddenly they don't accept college groups anymore, or the timeline suddenly shifted and they're full and we have to rework the itinerary. So with programs that have run for a long time, yes, we're using a program provider, but that's for transportation and overarching things. The day can consist of the bus knows where to go, but the faculty has arranged all the academic and experiential content of the trip.
But I think that should be studied case by case because I know that the program that I'm talking specifically has had everything. And actually now things are much easier in Europe. Now they accept credit cards before you need to be wiring. So I think that everything has changed. Trips are now easier for some faculty and they know what to do. Why don't you study case by case and then determine, especially with the new programs, I totally agree with you. A new program, we need help. It's something that is already established and the connections are between faculty and university or places. They already have that down. I mean, that's my point. I think it cannot be overboard.
Hi, Jamie Scally, Everly College. So, I had a program with you last summer and then this year with the requirement for the provider. I met with them and gave them basically the itinerary from last year with tweaks, like things that I'd learned because there definitely were issues with me doing it myself and with the payment. But so I took out one thing that was like $7,000 and took out a couple days and met with the provider to go over everything. And I was being very type A about it. It's like, we're doing this day and we're going here this way. And then they came back with a lot of issues. They were looking like for a beach that's actually in Hawaii when we were trying to go to England. It was all very confusing. I don't know that I believe that the provider had ever been to England and they're trying to change my itinerary. And then we went back and tried to get it fixed and it was like 2 months or something. And it resulted in the program not even going online until I think after Thanksgiving or late at least. So I'm wondering if there's going to be more maybe intentional vetting of the providers that we could be given to use. Because I could plan a study abroad to England and feel confident in it, but I don't know that I can pick a provider and feel confident in that. So yeah, just is there anything in the works to maybe help us work with providers that are going to be more knowledgeable? And then with that too, because we did have some back and forth, felt like it was mostly going one way for me, but we had some back and forth. But when they gave the number at the end, I had no idea how they came up with it. And so I took that big thing out and the program was even shorter and it still ended up being, I think, 2,000 more than last year without airfare. So if there's a way that we can request from these providers that we're going to use that they give us a breakdown of where they're costing everything, just make more sense.
So we have added 3 new providers this year. We're constantly getting feedback and I want your feedback and reviewing. And we know that not every provider, and this is why we have a list, is going to be a good fit for you, whether it's your planning type, your program type. And so we do, what we found is the more local and the more focused the provider is, the better the experience is. But we have broad providers that we kind of started with because it met all needs. And so getting faculty feedback, having faculty, and we work with university partners too. So if you have a partnership or a colleague at a university abroad, that also can help, because boots on the ground is getting that local information and, you know, a better price point. So I do appreciate, it is work worth a provider. It's work to do it from scratch, right? And it's frustrating to not have the control over every element of it. But I think there will be growing pains while we find which providers do things really, really well and cut out what, from a health and safety and a business standpoint, are very good at certain things, but might not be a good fit for you. So there is some matchmaking involved in that. That's
Yeah,
gonna
just
work out
like
those growing pains.
finding the connections where they're not so focused on
And
their
I-
profit and more about like the curricula or quality.
And one of the new providers, which is a bit overarching, but they are a nonprofit organization. So we encourage you to put together the same information, but we'll give them to two providers at the same time. Let's compare and see what can give a better and which is better to work with and what the cost points are, right? We're not loyal to any one organization or partner.
And one other question, you mentioned earlier that like travel agents work. If my friend's mom is a travel agent, can I just use her as my provider?
We
or
need
does
to
it have
approve her
to-
as a travel
I mean, if
agent, but
she,
if
like,
she's
passes
willing
the
to
check-
answer the questions, and I mean, let's avoid conflict of interest situations, but
Yeah,
we can have a conversation.
okay, thank you.
Miriam Leary, School of Medicine. I'm sorry, I know we're ready to move on. I did a study abroad trip, loved my provider, but my question is, surely this is not just a West Virginia thing. Is this becoming more common across peer institutions to adopt a third party? And can you kind of give us a lens on that so that we know we're not?
Yes, I would say from my experience working with other Big 12 directors and in the field of study abroad, like the study abroad directors, we are still the most flexible. Schools are very strict and limit, like, these are the three providers, like VRF and the acronym, we are their school. And because there's also coming up in the field a lot of incentives pressed to the universities. Like, if you get 10 programs with us, we're gonna discount your price. If you get 15 programs, we're gonna scholarship your students. And we don't want to limit your choices as faculty and flexibility, but we do want to see some consistency. And the students are coming in out of high school. They've been on travel tours with a major provider. They're used to getting the app, seeing the itinerary. It's glossy. The parents have their own call. And so there's some expectation of like consistency from that side as well. But yeah, in the field, I've had lots of conversations where there are some schools where the study abroad office plans the study abroad and then recruits the faculty to do it through the dean's office. The faculty don't even plan the experiences anymore. And that's not our goal.
Okay. Yes, she deserves it. That was not easy. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can do this. Nope, I can't. Miracle, people. 9 months in, I figured it out. Am I good? Well. Yep. Okay. All right, now an update from the Office of Sponsored Programs and Katie Storrs, Vice President for Finance, Operations, and Research Administration.
Hi, good afternoon. Before Katie gives her presentation, I just wanted to talk briefly about the unprecedented situation we kind of face now in the relationship between universities and the federal government. And the area where that hits us the hardest really is around grants and contracts. I'll start by saying that, since kind of the end of January, it's been very emotional. As we go through each week, this pattern where we get a new executive order on Friday, Monday lawsuits are filed, and then later that week, a court intervenes with an injunction to prevent whatever action is going to be taken. I think that it's important to not be emotional as we think through this. So our approach as a university is tried to be calm and rational. We work with the legal office. When appeals make sense, we appeal the actions. We work very closely with the members of our delegation in Congress. A lot of this is done behind the scenes, not in public, because we're trying to help them understand the impacts, not just financial, but on people at the university of these actions that the federal government is taking, the actions the agencies are taking. And they understand this, and they're working with us. But they have to work behind the scenes on this, because it's a very delicate kind of situation, right? And the negotiations are very delicate. And so internally, what we've been doing is monitoring different organizations like the APLU Council on Research, Council of Graduate Schools, Council on Government Relations, following their advice in terms of how you respond to these things. And so we listen to those organizations, we factor that into what we're doing as an institution. Institutionally, there are 2 meetings each week. One with really an administrative group that I am on. It involves people from finance, from legal, from government relations, from the provost's office, where we go through what has happened the last week and what is the impact on the university. And then we let the people in DC know what that is. But we also are looking strategically at the university, how we need to respond to these things. And we're trying to do the most we can to ameliorate impacts to both faculty and students. But it is challenging because of the budget situation we're in. It's just the times in which we live. Then the last thing I would say is that, we are working also in another meeting with deans, associate deans for research, the provost office, to share information back and forth. So we hear their concerns, they hear where we're at. So a lot of work is being done on this, although it's not necessarily being done fully in public. Now, I think, again, you need to consider the times in which we were in. It's a time where you've got to respond rationally, calmly to things. Fear and panic does us no good. It hurts our blood pressure, but at the end of the day, does that really solve the problem? We solve the problem by working collaboratively with decision makers in DC, getting them to understand our position and our problems, how they can help us. So I just wanted to lay that out for folks, because I know there's concern broadly, and I get that. But at the same time, I was talking with a member of the faculty who'd been a program officer. There's uncertainty. We don't know from week to week what is going to happen. We can't predict it. All we can try to do is respond the best we can in a rational, logical manner. That's what we're trying to do. If you have questions or concerns, please feel to reach out to me at any time or my staff, who will work with you to help you. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Katie and her folks to talk about sponsored programs. Katie.
Good afternoon. We're going to take this opportunity to share with you a little bit of our history, so where we have been over the past couple of years, where we are now, and where we hope to go moving forward. I do want to say before we get started, we definitely appreciate the feedback that we've received. We've been working with several of your colleagues over the past year on feedback, initiatives that we have, and you're going to hear about, but initiatives that we have been implementing, their progress, how they have been implemented and been adopted. So at this time, I'm actually going to turn the presentation over to Tracy Fong.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tracy Fong. I'm the Associate Director for Award Initiation and Management, the Office of Sponsored Programs. And it's a pleasure to speak with you today to highlight some of our challenges we had last year, our plan of action, what resulted from that action, and our path going forward. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tracy Fong. I'm the Associate Director for Award Initiation and Management, the Office of Sponsored Programs. And it's a pleasure to speak with you today to highlight some of our challenges we had last year, our plan of action, what resulted from that action, and our path going forward. But at the end of 2023 and 2024, some of the challenges that we faced in the Office of Sponsor Programs was we did not receive award documentations in a centralized location. PIs were receiving notifications. We were receiving it from email vanity accounts. We were pulling documents from sponsors, agencies, grants management systems. So it wasn't a clear path on how to get all the documents in a centralized location. Additionally, prior approvals, which required approval from the sponsors, was not centrally managed. We would get requests directly from department administrators, from faculty members, or we would receive phone calls or emails. We also didn't have a formalized way to track and assign assignments for our team. And there was no accurate way to reflect the data that was basically pending actions. We couldn't really tell where certain actions were at any given time. As a result, there was a large backlog that spanned weeks to months, depending on the action. And as a result, we weren't able to provide an accurate measure, or were not able to capture performance data on a regular, timely basis. So the plan of action we adopted in early 2024 was to develop a single point of intake. This creation of a centralized email address would gather all award documents, one email that is monitored daily. That email address did not take in any additional inquiries. It was strictly for award actions. We also developed a web-based prior approval form, which allowed faculty members or their designee to submit prior approval requests without having to email. It was a quick online form with very brief questions, and it was assigned immediately. We also reassigned roles within our team. We designated individuals to specifically monitor the prior approvals, the vanity email accounts, which meant that there was always someone looking at these requests as they came in. They didn't sit for days as they did in the past. We also had queue automation. We managed various work types by on the request. And then we also developed a process to prioritize what was urgent based on deadlines or what the sponsor required. So after adoption of this plan, the metrics that resulted definitely reflected greater change. One thing I wanted to focus here is that prior to utilizing SharePoint, which was a list that we assigned all award actions, prior to the adoption of SharePoint, it took approximately 10 days to assign an award action. So if an award came in, it would take nearly 2 weeks before it was even assigned to an individual on my team. After the adoption of SharePoint, it took 1 day, 1.01 days, or basically real time. If it came in today, it was assigned today or early the next morning. That resulted in an 89% reduction in time for assignment. And as a result, from the quick assignment, the overall number of days for completion from receipt to completion went from 17.91 days or 18 days to approximately 5.8, a little bit under 6 days for an award action to be completed. This reflected a 67% decrease in the time it took to complete an award action. So for this year and path going forward, we implemented WRAP, the new Huron grants management system. This has improved our efficiency and processes through actions are now received directly from my counterpart office, the award negotiation team. We receive notices, award actions directly through in system. So there's a tracking of this handoff of actions. It's time stamped. Award modifications are now requested in system instead of utilizing the prior approval smart form. PIs or their designee can request any type of revision or modification at any given time. And lastly, assignments are real time and it's transparent to PIs. Once an assignment is made or assigned to my team, there's a notification that comes out, and then also it's stamped on the award record. With Huron, we were able to centralize workload management, the elimination of SharePoint. We don't need to utilize SharePoint anymore. We're phasing out the quality build smart form, which is helpful because instead of two different locations where requests can be made, it can now be done centrally. And then all team members' assignments are done through RAP, which means we can see who is assigned what and how much is in their workload. So building on this momentum for 2024 and 2025, we look to build better support for the research community through faster communication, more prompt responses, efficient and transparent services through RAP, continue providing RAP training to the research community on an as-needed basis, whether that's a group or individually, develop new key metrics and reporting tools in RAP so that we can see where our strengths and where we need to improve on. And then for our future goals and current goals, we want to improve how we work with the faculty and the department administrators. We're working now with JSM for customer service, for more prompt service for anything related to award initiation and management, and then also empower my team on the latest information, any type of training that they may need, so that they can empower themselves to provide better service to the research community. And then lastly, we want to develop specialized training opportunities and resources for the research community so that we would have either training sessions or any informative sessions that are relevant for the research community. And now I will pass the mic over to Justin Miller.
Afternoon, everybody. Justin Miller, Assistant Director with Award Negotiations. I think if we had to give a word for 2024, it would be transition. I work on a team with 9 people. We have 1 opening. 5 of us were onboarded in 2024, including yours truly. And so with that comes a lot of time to look at our processes, look at our templates, look at our checklists, all of our different documents and procedures, and take a strong look at them and figure out how we can develop those and revise them and update them to make them more efficient, more up to date. Along those lines came the move from KC to RAP. And so we moved nearly 3/4 of our open assignments to RAP. And along with that came a lot of in-depth training. Each agreement type in RAP has its own standard operating procedure document, and we spent 2.5 months training over that so that it was second nature before we even went live. And we continue to work on those updates weekly right now. And finally, we were able to move active subawards over to RAP from CASE. So in terms of numbers for 2024, we completed almost 1,600 assignments. And while that was a 3.4% reduction in volume from the previous year, we had actually moved 18% of our agreement types to other offices because of the creation of our clinical trials area and the Office of General Counsel taking over specific agreement types. So while parts of our workload left, it didn't completely affect our day-to-day. And our average processing time in 2024 was 38 days, which is a 31% reduction. Some of the projects and initiatives that we tackled in 2024 was a move from the Salesforce system to a SharePoint system. SharePoint was very good for OSP last year. We worked on developing data metrics to start doing analytics and weekly reporting to stakeholders, as well as continuing that development of checklists, guidance resources for our team. Along those lines with initiatives, we helped with the creation of our clinical trial team, helping get them set up and assignments moved over. We created a subaward task force, which we'll talk more about in a second. We assisted with the onboarding of our customer care team, and then the regularly mentioned move to RAP. So RAP. This is a screenshot of one of our agreement screens, and I wanted to include this just to give everybody a quick tour of how you're able to get a whole lot of information from a single screen. I also really like colored arrows. So there are 2 blue arrows. Those help show exactly where your agreement is in the workflow. And so you're able to follow along as your agreement goes from an internal review to an external review, whether that gets sent back and forth, which signature it's sitting with, whether internal or external, when it's done being signed and then becomes active. And so we're able to at a moment's notice from that flow chart, know exactly where your agreement is sitting. The green arrow helps show you which where your agreement is. And so your final agreement is there, ready to look at. You can always find it regardless of where we're at in state. So you can see as it gets drafted along. The white arrow helps show you a little bit about what type of agreement we're working with, who the responsible party is, and a brief description of exactly what it is we're working on. And then finally, the orange one, the orange arrow is a breadcrumb that helps you bounce back and forth within your agreement between a main agreement and all your amendments, which is really helpful. And then finally, the silver or gray one in the bottom corner helps show that there are a number of various menu options to help provide information. And so we're able to track correspondence in real time. We use what Huron calls an email catcher. And so all of our emails, as we're sending them related to a specific agreement, automatically go into our correspondence section. So you can see as we're emailing back and forth with various stakeholders, you can track the history. You're able to look at documents. You can bounce back and forth between the agreements module and the grants module. So your agreement and your proposal, or your agreement and your award. And so there's a lot of really helpful tools just off of this one page. A little bit about the subaward task force. We all know that subawards are a major pain point right now in our office. They definitely take longer than any other agreement type we work on. And so we created a subaward task force to take a look at the entire life cycle process of the subaward. And so what that looks like from proposal creation through the development and signatures of the subaward, all the way through monitoring closeout. And so we put together a task force. You can see some of the membership representation areas on the screen. And so it's a very varied group. I used to refer to it as a band. We are actually a small orchestra. There's nearly 20 of us that participate in this group. We've created workforce groups, smaller working groups outside of this task force to tackle each one of those pieces. We look at the current state. We look at what policy and procedure says we should be doing. We look for where our pain points are, and then we start to look at what best practices and areas for improvement can be. And the end result of this will be a report to our stakeholders and some action items, as well as training opportunities to help improve that entire process. We've completed the pre-award part, and I can tell you that was really, really helpful to get everybody around the table to look at this one process. We learned a lot from each other and what each of us do, and came up with 4 or 5 specific concrete recommendations. And we're just wrapping up the award creation, the agreement creation part, and then we'll move on to monitoring. So this group has been very, very successful so far, and it's been a really great learning opportunity for our entire stakeholder. Finally, looking at projects and goals for 2025, we'll finalize our transition from KC to RAP and make sure we're utilizing RAP to its fullest potential. Continuing to work with our customer care team, helping to use RAP to create data metrics to help improve our efficiencies and workload management. Y'all, I work with a whole bunch of lawyers, and I'm the only non-lawyer on the team. And so there's some professional development there when it comes to research administration. And so I've really enjoyed in my time since September helping teach a whole group full of lawyers about export control and budgets and no cost extensions and peer review and all of the things that make our lives so exciting. And so we're going to continue to provide as much professional development as we can to our team in the other areas of research administration outside of simple agreements. And then we'll wrap up the subaward task force and come up with a list of recommendations. 2 big goals are to reduce our processing time. I said it was 38 days last year. We'd like it below 30. I can tell you as of right now, we have met that goal and are continuing to try to get that to go lower, while at the same time increasing the average number of assignments that are for negotiation.
Don't worry, we are almost done. I just want to give you an update on where we are with the WVU Research Administration Portal. We have finished phase one. We did our implementation as of January 13th. The system is functioning as it was intended. Our office hours and our Teams channel support was very highly utilized. Those were mainly questions that were related to proposals that were due the first couple of weeks afterwards. We continue to offer training opportunities. We do have a senior instructional designer that is part of that project and team. And part of what we are also doing, and you can expect, as you might have, you will understand this from an academic standpoint. Once we implemented the system, we knew that we'd have a lot of questions initially. And then as you go through, you don't have as many questions as you did initially because you have a smaller learning curve. But what we are doing is that we do know that there will be bands and opportunities where certain topics are needed to be addressed. And so we're going to have a form that you can complete. And then that lets us know what is needed, and we can direct our attention to making sure that you have training opportunities. In the meantime, there are a wealth of information and resources that are available, and we can always get connected there. And then we are also moving forward with phase two, our institutional review board stage of ERP, or ERA. ERP is modernization. We have a lot of acronyms. So this is our timeline for our program. As you can see, the first, we've really front-loaded our modules for Huron. We had 3 modules and a solution that we developed all at the same time. So the rest of our timeline looks much more approachable than having that number of modules. But there is a reason why we did that, because everything hangs on grants and agreements and conflict of interest. Those are areas that are connected to everything that we do. So that was definitely by design. The Office of Human Research Protections worked on the toolkit. That was something that was kind of done behind the scenes. They were planning and exploring what that was going to look like as it moved into the IRB module. And so that's what we are working on now. And Joy Edwards is the sponsor for phase 2. This is the team. So I've noted some of these individuals. If you've done anything with Huron and with the ERA project, these names will be recognizable to you. This, of course, will be available so you can connect to that website at any point. But the Research Connect website for WVU opens up a doorway to a wealth of opportunities and resources. But if you ever have any questions, that's what I'm going to talk about now, which is you've heard some of my colleagues talk about the JSM, the customer care team. So that's the JSM is the tool that we use. That's JIRA system management. That's what we use to answer your questions. But now, unlike in the past, if you have a question, you can just type up an email to OSP_help, and that's going to go to a customer service team that is dedicated to answer these questions for research. They will make sure that they're collecting the information that is needed and getting it to the appropriate party. That is one of their main goals. And that's really the point, is that they want to give you professional solution-focused support. And this is just the email that we just talked about. And from there, happy to answer any questions or take feedback.
Hi, Casey
Hi.
Kidd School of Medicine. My question is actually about post-award support.
Yes.
So in our unit, we've had some difficulty with our communication related to post-award support. And specifically, I was really pleased to see the increased communication plans with PIs and departmental research staff with the pre-award team. But our biggest challenge right now has been related to post-award communication, specifically to reports of expenditures. And so my
Specifically
question-
related to, I'm so sorry.
Reports of expenditures.
Reports of expenditures.
And so what's your best recommendation for how we can better communicate with corporate accounting and facilitate those updates and changes to those reports of expenditures and facilitate timely deliverables? Thank you.
Absolutely. This is a great question. It's also time for a fun fact at WVU. So for the Office of Sponsored Programs, when we say award initiation and management, we actually set up your award, and everything that goes downstream in your accounting is actually handled out of a different office. That's sponsored research accounting. That's out of the financial department. So I would, I'm not going to venture to answer your question because that would be someone else's department, but I would be very happy to connect you to the correct person.
Harlan Lee from Engineering College. And from what I heard from our first speaker, that our service has been greatly improved. But that's not what our feeling as a faculty, as a PI. I can share with you, I heard from many faculty and that the contracts negotiation, everything still be very long. And one of my own example, and it took over 4 months to have everything signed. That's not the main point. The main point is we feel that there's less communication or coordination between the different agency or different staff or different office. I can give you an example. My project and the contract was processed everything in March, beginning of March or something, 3 months. And then nobody put that money to the ARM system. And we keep getting emails saying you run out of money and complaint from all over the office. And then we talked to our college and they talked to OSP. And the response we found was, the response from OSP was, it will take time to look into the system. As what I heard, you have immediate to the system, you know where they are, but obviously it's not. So it's just so frustrated that, you know, we have the contract processed and nobody put the stuff to the system. And it just took so long to sign, have everything processed. Another one is my another question is, whose responsibility to tell that a subcontract can be signed? Is OSP or the PI? You know, my feeling, you know, my complaint was, I found this subcontract has not been signed. I need to tell someone to initiate the process. That should not be the case because OSP has a proposal, has a contract, has a budget. OSP should know that there's a 3 or 4 subcontracts should be signed or negotiated. And you end up, I have to go dig out and then tell someone who process that, hey, you need to sign this subcontract. It's just not functioning in the right way that it should be as what has been claimed in our progress.
First, I appreciate the feedback. I also think it's really helpful to look into each individual case, so we can definitely take a look at that. Happy to do that. I will also acknowledge what has been covered in today, that we have went through a procedure where we did not have the best processes, procedures set up. We have definitely made significant improvements with that. The subcontract committee is designed to actually make sure that all of our offices are discussing the best approach, because subcontracts, one reason they are so challenging is that they come into a variety. When you think of something, especially with a contract, you think it comes into one door, but it doesn't. At WVU, we could receive our subcontracts through a variety of offices, and those, when the subcontract doesn't come into one place, it creates a lot of delays as far as trying to figure out where it goes, who does it go to. In some instances, it might need to go to the procurement office. In some cases, it comes to the Office of Sponsored Programs. In others, it goes to clinical trials, or it could go to the Office of General Counsel. It starts to get very complicated very quickly. So our goal and what Justin is leading in the committee is to try to make sure that we have one funnel. And you might say, well, gosh, why is that so complicated? All of our contract documents do state the offices that they should be submitted to, but sometimes we don't even see them. They'll come directly to the PI. So we are trying to tackle these things to the best of our ability. We have met with the very office that I mentioned. So for instance, Sponsored Research Accounting, we try to meet together to make sure what are the communication tools, what can we do with our sponsors to make sure that they know the best place to send them. So we're working on everything that we can to make sure that it's a speedier process.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I also want to, you didn't ask this question, but you did kind of in your comment. So I want to make sure that I'm addressing it. Something else that I think is really helpful to understand, when you hear that a contract may take 30 days, that may sound like a really long time, but something that you can now see that you couldn't see before is that you can see what is happening with the other party. So at any point, whenever you log into the new RAP system, you can see where it is at. So we may technically, WVU may only have it for a number of days, and then the other party has to review it. Their legal team reviews it, and then there's usually some type of negotiation if there are terms and conditions to review. If there are not, if it is an agreement type that we receive that does not an award, that doesn't need to have terms and conditions reviewed, that goes straight to Tracy's group and is set up for an award. And so that has significantly improved the process as well. And I do apologize that you don't feel it right now. You personally, you're not feeling that. And so it's our job to make sure that we look into your specific case and that we figure out how we can make that process work better for you.
If I'm allowed to talk another one, I'd like to have another chance. Another one is the loss of our recent update for IT for the OSP forms. Is people just simply put the stuff there. Nobody ever checks seems how that link wrong or not. I need to submit one NDA, and I follow the guideline from the OSP website. When I click it, and there's no way I can figure out how to submit that form. Then I emailed OSP or an office somewhere, and I come back, the email say, and is anyone in the group, he said a long list of others, can figure out how this work. I cannot figure this out either. It's end up that link, there's no any explanation or there's no any guidance how to submit that NDA until even the group was supposed to know how to solve it. They even don't know how to solve it. It's just my feeling is like we put out something, we never check or never have anyone check how the system work.
I think what I would boil that question down to is quality assurance. And I can assure you that the processes that we have in place are making sure that the quality is there. It's built into the system and into our standard operating procedures. Guaranteed, yes, we have evolved and those weren't present previously. They are present now. And I will say, I want to make sure that if you leave with nothing else, that you understand that any questions that you have, if you send those to OSP_help, their job is to make sure that you get that answer. That you don't need to see what is going on behind the scenes to make sure you get that answer. They will make sure that you have the appropriate point of contact and the answer that you need. And if you're not receiving that, as Fred had mentioned earlier, please do let us know. I really do encourage you to reach out to me. I'm happy to look into that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions, feedback? Okay, you're welcome. On behalf of the office, we appreciate your patience.
Okay. Next up is a quick update from Associate Provost Lou Slimak, good grief. I am tired. On how the faculty can access program level data that is used in the annual reviews of programs. I did want to make clear the intention today is just to show you how you can gain the access and see the data. We're not going to talk about we're not intending to talk about the annual review process or the data at this meeting. We just want to make sure you have access so we can talk about it in the future.
Thanks for that caveat. We're going to try and hold there. All right. Access to the Tableau dashboards, which are slowly being created and replacing things that we have in APS, Argos, other data and reports across the institution are now being housed in Tableau. You can get to Tableau through the faculty portal. And there's a link down the bottom under resources. To request access, you email the data office, all one word, data office @mail.wvu.edu and request access to Tableau. Within Tableau itself, there are two things for you to keep in mind now. One, organization is a little wonky. When you get in there, you may not land and have dashboards displaying like you think you would. You have to search for them and find them and bookmark them. I would say if you land in Tableau after you have access and can't find what you're looking for, depending on what you're looking for, either reach out to me, Robin Shannon, or the data office itself and ask for kind of guidance in finding those dashboards. Two, some of the dashboards are general purpose, all access. Everybody on the institution has access. So once you have access, you're going to see everything that everybody else sees at the program level. Some of them are permissioned. So the annual unit review stuff is in a subfolder for departmental and program review. If you want access to that as a chair, as an assistant chair, as a program coordinator or something like that, That's a special level of access. We're going to have sensitive data in that particular folder and similar other folders. So if you're looking for access to those particular folders, you'll want to CC me on your request to the data office, and I'll say, yes, in this person's role, they will need access to those folders. That's the access question. Happy to come back later at a different faculty senate meeting and walk through the process, its requirements, the data itself. The email address to access, oh my gosh, the email address to access the data is dataoffice, all one word, @mail.wvu.edu.
So once you have access, you can find access through the WVU faculty portal at Tableau. Okay, that'll get us started in fun annual review questions. Our next report is from President Gee. President Gee.
First of all, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank Diana for her leadership. Give her a round of applause again, would you please? And I want to thank all of those who have preceded Diana. It's been 11 years now, and we've had wonderful leadership. Everyone has done an excellent job, I can tell you. And of course, I'm also those members of the executive committee that we've been meeting. The only time they ever get a free lunch out of me is when I had them over to Stewart Hall, and we do have a wonderful time. Yeah, that's right. And I was just calculating that I've attended around 150 faculty senate meetings since coming to the university since becoming president in 1980. So I've had a number of these meetings, and I always think about this, though, that rather than a collection of buildings, the university is a gathering of scholars, and I really want to thank our faculty. We have outstanding people in this room and throughout this institution. I think our current faculty is particularly talented and energetic, and I'm grateful to all of you for the work that you've done. I'm looking forward, by the way, to my final commencement ceremonies, which is May 16th to 18th, and I'll see many of you there. I know many of our faculty do participate. We're also celebrating Grad Fest on May 14th from 11 to 3, and I hope some of you will be able to come, because that's a time for us to recognize and value our seniors. For this year's commencement, each dean has recognized an outstanding faculty member to serve as the Grand Marshal. This is something that we started, and I think it's a wonderful idea. My congratulations to Marjorie McDermott from the College of Law, Ann Hendrickson representing the Health Sciences, Robert Gerbo from the School of Medicine, Jerry McGonigal from the College of Creative Arts and Media, Robert Daly from the Davis College of Agriculture and Natural Resources, Julian Givey from the John Chambers College of Business and Economics, and Amy Kennedy from the College of Applied Human Sciences, Yu Gu from the Benjamin M. Statler College of Engineering and Mineral Resources, and Richard Thomas from the Everly College of Arts and Sciences. Each of these will be featured and will be our grand marshals for each of those commencements. In my remarks to the graduates this year, by the way, I'm going to be very, very short, because the fact that I have a 5 o'clock meeting that I cannot miss, okay? And in my remarks to this year's graduates, I will talk about approaching transitions optimistically. And that is certainly what I am doing. It is going to be a time of transition for me, and beginning another time. I have no doubt that the best is yet to come for me, for the university, for all of the people in this room. This is a tumultuous time, and we've heard that, but I also think that our university, as a great land-grant institution, as an R1 institution, as an institution that is in a very small state, I get asked this question a lot about how do we deal with this, with all the tumultuous things going on in Washington. And I point out that we are a unique American institution, and we make our living off of doing things differently and being very distinctive. And so for that, I think that distinction will serve us very well over the next period of time. So saying that, Diana, I have to run. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So, thank you, President Gee. As President Gee is also retiring, I wanted to extend our sincere appreciation for your support of shared governance and the role of the Faculty Senate. I know we do not always agree. I think that's how shared governance works. But we do appreciate your willingness to consistently engage with us and to include our perspective in the major decisions of this university. We wish you well in retirement. Next up is a report from Interim Provost Kreider.
Good afternoon. Good to see you all again. I'm happy to be here as we wrap up another year here at WVU. It's been a busy one, and to round out our awards season, we had the announcement of some additional faculty and student awards over the last couple of weeks. So congratulations to Mark Bertzaitis of the English department. He earned the 2025 Faculty Award for Distinction in Graduate Research Mentoring. This is sponsored by the Office of Graduate Education and Life, and the award was created in 2018 to honor faculty who have demonstrated exceptional commitment to the mentorship of graduate students. The award requires a nomination from current and former graduate students, faculty, or staff. Finalists are judged on 12 criteria of how one might make an excellent mentor. In addition, 5 faculty members and 1 graduate student were named recipients of the Travis Steimling Award for mentoring undergraduate students in research. Awards are presented in 5 categories: arts and humanities, behavioral and social sciences, biosciences and health sciences, physical sciences and technology, and graduate student mentor. Congratulations to Angela Urio of the School of Art and Design, Kathleen Morrison of the Department of Psychology, Jennifer Gallagher of the Department of Biology, Jean McCrory from the Department of Exercise Physiology, Tatiana Trejos of the Department of Forensic Investigative Science, and Christopher Anderson, a doctoral student in environmental engineering and a Ruby's Scholars Graduate Fellow. Of course, our excellent students continue to be recognized by external organizations as well. 2 WVU researchers, Camila Romeo from Morgantown and Christopher Smith from Point Pleasant, are recipients of the prestigious National Science Foundation Graduate Research Fellowship. The program supports graduate education in STEM-based fields, offers professional development opportunities, and provides a 3-year annual stipend of $37,000. Ms. Romero earned her bachelor's degree in neuroscience and will soon be pursuing a doctorate in psychology at the University of Pennsylvania. She credits WVU with fostering her research interests and leadership skills. And Mr. Smith is a first-generation student who studied biomedical engineering and was engaged in the summer undergraduate research experience and the global medical and dental brigades. In the next phase of his research career is a doctoral program at Rice University, and he plans to focus on improving healthcare accessibility in rural areas. We're also proud to recently announce the university's 27th Truman Scholar, one of the nation's top graduate fellowships, which honors a student committed to advocacy, justice, and scholarship. Sophie Slaughter, a Culloden native and member of the Honors College, will use the fellowship funds to pursue advanced degrees in history with a focus on Appalachian studies and critical prison studies. We also had 3 students who were awarded the coveted Goldwater Scholarship, the nation's premier undergraduate scholarship in mathematics, engineering, and natural sciences, which supports students with strong commitment to research careers. Juniors Henry Coyle, an aerospace engineering major from Charlottesville, Virginia, Corin Hazel, an environmental microbiology major from Delaware, Ohio, and Grady King, a data science major from Morgantown, will each receive $7,500 annually for up to 2 years of undergraduate study to further their research topics. All 3 of these students are members of the Honors College. So there are ongoing initiatives I want to briefly mention. First, the Higher Learning Commission Accreditation Site Team sent along their initial report for us to conduct a standard error of fact review. We did that. The report was then shared with the executive review team for each criterion to look over for errors of fact. The report then goes back to the HLC, Institutional Action Committee, who will make needed adjustments and finalize the site team's recommendation before going to the HLC board for final approval. We expect to hear more in August. I also have an update on the Gen Ed revision. As you know, Associate Provost for Undergraduate Ed, Evan Witters, and Associate Provost for Curriculum and Assessment, Louis Slimak, and Communications Studies Chair, Department Chair, and Provost Fellow Lindsay Morris Neuberger are leading efforts to revise our general education curriculum. Over the past few weeks, they've been working through the selection process to identify 6 faculty leaders who will help guide this effort. Of the 34 applicants from 9 units across the system, they have selected those 6 faculty leaders, and we are working with department leaders and deans to finalize those arrangements. Dr. Morris Neuberger will be meeting with these faculty leaders before the end of the semester to map out specific focus areas for these 3 working groups, which will then kick off our broader engagement in the fall semester. As soon as we are able to announce those 6 individual faculty leaders, we will share that information with you. And our Morgantown faculty should have received a message today about the upcoming provost search. We are seeking faculty members from the main campus who are interested in serving on that search committee. Why the announcement said main campus is because based on the representation of that President Benson wanted on the committee, we already have leadership and faculty representation from our regional campus and our health sciences campuses. Anyone who wants to be considered should submit a letter of interest to Chris Staples by June 1st. Incoming President Michael Benson, along with senior leadership, will review applicants and select and notify committee participants ahead of the fall semester. We expect that to happen in early August. So let me also, I'd be remiss if I didn't add my thanks and appreciation to Diana for her excellent work this year. It's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed it. I remember working with you last year in a little bit of capacity. I thought, well, next year's going to be a good year. And you did not disappoint. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm open for questions.
Hi, Brian Powell from Statler College. Was wondering if you could talk about the expected budget situation for the coming fiscal year. In Statler, we've been told that the allocation from Central is not necessarily enough to meet the college's ongoing needs. And in my department, Computer Science, Electrical Engineering, we've been told that for the operating budget, so essentially everything other than full-time employee salaries, to expect more than a 50% cut. And this is in a department and a college where we both had enrollment. So trying to understand what exactly the budget situation is looking like for next fiscal year.
Well, let me just say a couple of things. We're on track for fiscal year 25, our current fiscal year, to fall within our budget parameters. We're currently in the process of building the fiscal year 26 budget, and upon approval of the Board of Governors, we will anticipate happening in our June meeting. We'll publish that budget. The numbers that you're speaking about, I can't speak specifically to that, but I know that the colleges are given a budget, and the colleges working in their dean's offices then basically allocate that budget to the units within the college. How a particular unit is being affected, I can't answer that question. I would ask that we have more conversation next year as all this becomes finalized. It's still premature.
In the past, there's the budget numbers that I've seen released from the university have been more sort of general top line numbers about. I've not seen at least publicly posted online detail level about allocations to individual colleges or things of that nature.
Like I said, we're still building the budget. We have no
Will
definitive.
that be shared? Will that be publicly shared once the budget is posted?
I can't tell you exactly all of the detail that'll be published, but I can tell you that we'll have something for you after the June board meeting as we get into the next fiscal year.
Thank you.
No other questions? Anything online? Nope. Thank you.
Okay, so final business. The elections process for the spring semester has wrapped up. with the election of Matt Valenti as Faculty Senate Chair-elect, who is here today. Matt will serve in the chair-elect role for the upcoming year and then assume the chair position in July of 2026. Congratulations to Matt. At its April meeting, the Faculty Senate Executive Committee appointed the positions of Faculty Secretary and Faculty Representative to State Government. These appointments are subject to confirmation by the Senate. Lauren Prinzo has been appointed the position of Faculty Secretary. Do I hear a motion to confirm her appointment? Is there a second? Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we will move to a vote. All of those in favor of confirming the appointment of Lauren Prinzo to the Faculty Senate Secretary position, please signify by saying aye or raising your hands online. You can lower your hands online. I've been told to give them more time. Okay. All of those opposed, please signify by saying nay or raising your hand online. The motion carries. Lauren will serve a 3-year term as Faculty Secretary beginning July 1st and ending on June 30th, 2028. Congratulations, Lauren. And it is at this point, it seems to be like this is what I'm going to do today. It is at this point I do want to acknowledge and thank Scott Wayne for assuming the final year of the Faculty Secretary position. And I don't know how many years of leadership he has offered to the Faculty Senate, but his efforts are greatly appreciated. And thank you, Scott Wayne. Jason Gross has been appointed to the position of Faculty Senate Representative to State Government. Do I hear a motion to confirm this appointment? So moved. Second? Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. All of those in favor of confirming the appointment, please signify by saying aye or raising your hand online. You can lower your hands online, please. All those opposed, please say nay or raise your hand online. The appointment is confirmed. Congratulations to Jason, who will serve a 1-year term as representative to state government beginning on July 1st and ending on July 30th, 2026. Jason, I hope you know what you're getting yourself into. Congratulations. As an additional note, the tellers report for the Faculty Senate elections were attached to your agenda as Annex 4. Robert's Rules of Orders call for sharing of the tellers report. We are now up to new business. Is there any new business?
Joe Jones, College of Creative Arts and Media. I think to Brian's point, at my last college meeting, we were basically told that the individual college units were told to give $12 million back to Central. For my own college, that meant $750,000 had to be cut from the budget. But I was also told by somebody who wanted to remain anonymous but said they were in the room, is that $4 million of those dollars was going to athletics. So basically, we've gone through academic transformation, and now we're cutting money for athletics. I have not verified this myself. I am not in leadership in any kind of position. I do want to put this on our radar, I think maybe for Chair-elect Scott Critchlow for next time. But I do want to put that on our radar that we are still having our budgets cut. And I was told my own unit is $750,000.
Thank you. I would like to say that we have been consistently requesting information regarding the budget and for a variety of reasons have been unable to get a solid confirmation. We are continuing to work to find a method in which we can get better and more accurate information. But it is definitely on Scott Critchlow's radar and off of mine. Okay. Goodbye. All right, Lauren.
Hi, Lauren Prinzo with Extension. Just a note on the faculty ombudsperson. So that position has been vacant for about a year. And we know that that position is key for faculty, especially in times of transition or budget uncertainty, as we've been discussing. So I'd like to move to form a special committee to meet this summer to review and make recommendations related to that position, if any changes are needed to make that position more sustainable for us.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor to develop a special committee that would work over the summer to review the ombudsman position to see if that there is a way to make it more sustainable and more consistent. I have pre-checked and the Office of the Provost has agreed to work with this committee. Do we have a second? Second. Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing no discussion, we'll move to a vote. All of those in favor of the formation of a special committee of the Faculty Senate to work over the summer months to review the faculty ombudsman position, please signify by saying aye or raising your hands online. Okay, you can lower your hands online. All those opposed, please signify by saying nay or raising your hands online. Okay. The motion carries. Thank you, Lauren. Lauren, talk to me after the meeting. I need a chair. Okay. Is there any other new business? Okay, see no further new business. It is my pleasure to continue a tradition begun years ago of the passing of the gavel to the chair-elect Scott Critchlow. Scott? It has been a pleasure to get to know and to work with Scott for the past year, and I am truly looking forward to the impact that he will have in his upcoming year. Scott, can you adjourn the meeting?